What if I told you that the people in power, politicians, CEOs, media moguls, aren't playing by the rules you think they are? What if behind their polished speeches and perfect smiles lies centuries-old manipulation, deception, and control tactics, authored by a man long dead, but still pulling the strings of the world? His name is Machiavelli, and his ruthless strategies are still shaping the world today. 1. The puppet master of power. Niccolò Machiavelli wasn't just a philosopher, he was a master strategist, a political operator who understood one truth better than anyone of his time, or maybe any time. It is better to be feared than loved, if you cannot be both. Born in Renaissance Italy, a time of constant war, betrayal, and shifting alliances, Machiavelli watched the rise and fall of leaders like pieces in a deadly game of chess. His book, The Prince, was never meant for the public. It was a guide, a playbook, for rulers on how to gain power, and more importantly, how to keep it. But this wasn't about kindness. Machiavelli didn't care for morality. He believed in results, he believed in control, and he believed in dark psychology. 2. Deception is a weapon. One of Machiavelli's most brutal tactics was deception. To him, appearances were everything. He wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." Fast forward to today. The tactic hasn't died. It's just evolved. Case study. Social media and political facades. During political campaigns, candidates craft their image carefully. Family man, humble origins, passionate about change. But behind closed doors, handshakes with billionaires, whispered deals, and power plays. Their teams spend millions curating every word, every photo, every public emotion. They will appear kind, honest, and transparent, just like Machiavelli advised. But Machiavelli wasn't talking about filters or sound bites. He was talking about the mask, the same mask worn by modern leaders, influencers, and corporations. A mask that hides intent behind illusion. This is the first tool of control. Make people believe while doing the opposite. 3. Divide and rule. Another Machiavellian masterstroke. Divide and conquer. If your enemies are united, they're dangerous. But if you can split them, turn them against each other, you win without lifting a sword. Now think about today. Politics has never been more polarized. Left versus right, liberal versus conservative. But ask yourself, who profits when people are divided? Media companies? Absolutely. Political parties? Definitely. Even social media platforms thrive on outrage and tribalism. By feeding echo chambers and outrage culture, modern powers keep the masses distracted, divided, and too busy fighting each other to notice the strings being pulled above them. It's not just conflict, it's calculated conflict, just as Machiavelli would have done. 4. Fear over love. Machiavelli knew emotions were powerful weapons, but if you had to choose, he said, make them fear you. Fear preserves you by a dread of punishment which never fails. Case study. Corporations and control. Look at the corporate world. Certain billion-dollar companies create environments where employees are constantly monitored. Emails, keystrokes, even bathroom breaks. Mistakes are punished quickly. Praise is rare. The result? Loyalty out of fear, not love, not passion, not inspiration, just survival. Even governments use fear to maintain order. If you don't vote for us, the other side will destroy the country. Without this law, chaos will reign. Fear is a leash, and the one who holds it rules. 5. Power is never shared freely. Another dark truth from Machiavelli. No one gives up power voluntarily. If they do, they've already made sure it benefits them. In modern times, we see this everywhere. Case study. Authoritarian regimes, disguised as democracies. Some countries appear democratic. They have elections. They have constitutions. But behind the scenes, the same leaders remain in power for decades. The opposition is silenced. Media is controlled. The illusion of choice masks the reality of control. Even in the corporate world, CEOs retire, only to install their protégés. They restructure instead of resign. They merge instead of surrender. Just like Machiavelli wrote, the promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present. 6. Psychological warfare, winning without fighting. Machiavelli didn't believe in brute force if it wasn't necessary. He believed in manipulation, in knowing the weaknesses of men and using them. Today, we call this dark psychology. Social engineers, hackers, political propagandists. They don't need armies. They use information, suggestion, and subconscious influence. Case study. Cambridge Analytica. They didn't need to rig elections. They simply used data to predict behavior. Then they planted seeds, ideas, doubts, fears, targeted down to the individual. They didn't force people to vote a certain way. They made them think it was their idea. That is modern Machiavellianism at work, not with swords, but with algorithms. 7. The cost of ruthless control. But what's the cost? Machiavelli's world was one of constant paranoia. Allies turned enemies, power gained through betrayal, and those who lived by the sword often died by it. Even today, those who use these tactics may win the game, but they rarely find peace. From CEOs who collapse under scandals scandals, to dictators overthrown by the very fear they created. Control can be a poison that turns inward. But here's the chilling part. These tactics work, and that's why they survive. The world today. Machiavelli didn't invent human darkness. He just wrote it down. He held up a mirror to the world and said, "This is how it works, whether you like it or not." And centuries later, the game is the same. Politicians still lie. Corporations still deceive. The powerful still use fear. And we, whether knowingly or not, still play by Machiavellian rules.